Welcome to City Market at O. On behalf of my partners, Armin and Todd, and the whole Roadside team and the city, we're thrilled to have you guys here. And this is really, we just opened this last week, so this is kind of a neat event for us. We still have some finishing touches, but we're very, very excited about it. Thank you. And we expect to have a lot of people to have a lot of fun up in this space and enjoy this. And I think if you get a chance to walk around, you get some great views of Shaw and you understand what's taking place. Deputy Mayor came up with his whole team one time, very cold day, to kind of survey all the cranes. So he likes to do that. So there was a lot of cranes out that day. So I just want to welcome you all here and I really appreciate everybody coming. I think Digital DC is an excellent concept. And I also stand as part of the co-chair of the Economic Partnership, Keith Sellers, our Ferris leader up there, Tiffany, and the whole team from Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership and Digital D.C. We think it's a great concept. We love the idea. We're kind of in the, as the mayor has said, we're in the center of it. So that really makes us feel very proud to be part of it and host you all. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend, Deputy Mayor, for at least another few days. Victor Hoskins, and welcome him, and also wish him all the best in his future and his next position. And as he reminds us, he's not going really anywhere, just a few miles to the east. But anyways, Victor Hoskins.
Well, first of all, I want you guys all to notice my really relaxed look, okay? I worked on this all day, okay? I finally got the tie off about 4:15, and I'm totally relaxed. And I just turned the music back on. We really do need the music. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming to my apartment this evening. What, they didn't tell you this is my place? Yeah. Now that I'm not with the city, as of Friday, this is my place. I have had just an absolutely fabulous time working for the District of Columbia. I don't think, and I told one of the guys on the senior team, Herb Nathan, from the OAG's office, that I've never had so much fun at work. I've told the mayor that, and I absolutely mean it. This has been just an incredible experience. And I think really the part that we have right here, the tech community, has been such an incredible part of the story of where DC is and where DC is going. And I'm going to give you a quick history of what happened 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, I took a tongue lashing from Ray Ramsey. Where's Ray Ramsey? Raise your hand. There he is, right there. Okay, Ray was running the council of all the big tech firms, Google, Facebook, and so he's meeting with those guys all the time. So I figured Ray knew everything about tech. So David Zippert and I had breakfast with Ray. Okay, I didn't eat much. Ray upset me. He said, Victor, the tech community doesn't even know that DC exists. They've never seen the mayor's face. The mayor doesn't contact. I go, whoa. Let's say the previous mayor, okay? Let's say the previous mayor. And after I went through this, therapy session, this kind of, it felt like an intervention. And he leaves, and I'm sitting there at the table. I'm going, he left me with the bill, okay? He eats expensive breakfast. He left me with the bill and a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. And what I realized is that we really needed to change something. And so we went about developing a strategy, and Jen Boss was brought on board, and David and I sat down with Jen, and we thought about, okay, what are the things that we can do? And one of the first things that we did was we reached out. Well, actually, we didn't reach out. We asked the mayor if he'd come to a tech meetup. And he said, what's a tech meetup? I said, oh, Mayor, you're going to love it. He said, well, what is it? I said, oh, Mayor, you're going to love it. I said, it's a bunch of young people, invention, creativity, software, businesses. I said, you're just going to love this thing. And he said, oh, okay. And he said, well, where is this one? I said, GW. Oh, of course I love it. He's a GW alumni. So we walk in this room. There are 1,000 techies in this room, all just listening intently to people talk about their products. And this was a mobile one, so this was really exciting. It's all things we can relate to. And Peter Corbett just did a fabulous job of emceeing this event. And afterwards, the mayor started getting more tweets on his Twitter feed. And the bottom line is that it really, I think, changed his idea of the possibilities, because what he saw in that room was Peter said, hey, how many people in this room are hiring? And 300 hands went up all over the room. And And some were hiring multiple people. Some people even came up and pitched that they're looking for software developers, programmers, et cetera. And that is really where it all started. And that was September of 2011. And look where we are now. I mean, it is just absolutely amazing. And it's because of the vision of this man. He caught the vision and he gave it to us. And I just want to thank you all for really jumping on board and helping us get there. So give yourself a round of applause for all that you have done. We have been really great partners with people like Rich and Armand, and the way that they've made this space available and the way that they've reached out to be part of the tech community, we think is fantastic. We think that's where developers need to go. We think that's where developers of the future need to be. So we're really pleased that they do that. By the way, this is a LEED certified building. They are green guys, so they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And we think that's really profound. And I want to thank them so much for really making this space available. So thank you. I've been reading off my iPhone, if you've noticed that. Just I got the look, I got the iPhone here, all my notes. Actually, no, I don't have all my notes. My notes are here, but I'm not reading them. The thing that I really want you to know is that the city is committed to not just where we are right now, but taking you into the future. You guys know about the tech fund, you know about the tech corridor. That's just the prototype, that's just the beginning. The thinking is to go to multiple corridors with a larger fund. This advisory group that's come together for this has been amazing. Jim Boss and Erin have done a spectacular job on pulling this all together. Thank you so much. The thing about Jen and Erin is that they actually entertain me, and like when I had come up with an idea, they go, "That's cute." But I really depend on them for direction, and I really do appreciate that. And we have great partners in the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership. Keith and Tiffany and Chad and the rest of the team have just been amazing, particularly with South by Southwest, which is now the kind of the parallel to our retail work at ICSC. It's just been absolutely fabulous, and we have a big idea this year, and I believe that guy that's going to be running Prince George's County wants to be part of this. And I've been talking to him. I said, maybe you could bring crabs to this location and fun food from Maryland, because, we don't have a whole lot out in Prince George's, but, he doesn't have a whole lot out there in the third person. But I'm really excited about the idea that they have, and I hope some of you guys join in on it, because it's important that companies are there. We want to see DC food. We want to see DC brew. We want to see DC tech. We want to bring DC to South by Southwest so that we can attract more of the core tech companies to the community. Now, the hardest thing that I have to do leaving this job is actually leaving the job. I have a great relationship with Mayor Gray. I consider him more than a friend. I actually think of him as a brother. He's been a fabulous leader. He's inspired me to do things that I didn't think I could do. My favorite statement to the mayor is, "That's impossible." And his is, "So go out and do it." It's like, what? I just said it's impossible. And that's what he does. He helps you stretch. He helps you rethink who you are and what you can do. And I would have never thought we could have done, the count today, Mayor, is 87 projects, $7.5 billion, 48,000 jobs in 42 months. Now, I'm going to tell you something. In my neighborhood, when I was little, my friends would say, "That's grabbing some hat." See, grabbing hat is when you're running fast and you grab your hat off, and they don't know about that, Mayor. They grew up in the suburbs. But they are in the city now, and that's what's important, paying city taxes. That's true, that's true. But Mayor Gray has been an inspiration to us all across the city, and it is really the hardest thing to do is to think of not working with him in the future. And I'm sorry, you're not videotaping this, are you? But he has been a fabulous leader, and I'm so glad that I had an opportunity not just to meet with him, but to work with him, and I look forward to hopefully one day working with him again. I bring to you my mayor, the mayor of the city of Washington, D.C., Vincent C. Gray.
Thank you very much, Victor. I share the same sentiments as Victor does. He walked in my office. First time I ever met Victor was in January of 2011. And, I had a sense of what we wanted to do, but we needed a leader who was brilliant, who was energetic, and who was committed. And I had talked to several people before that. You know how you know, that person's okay, but I don't think that's going to make, that's not it. And so Victor walked in my office, and I knew within 3.5 milliseconds that he was the person to be able to lead this effort. And he's absolutely right. We didn't know each other before January of 2011, and he really is like a brother to me now. And we'll be, one way or the other, we'll be together. We say doing life together. So I know you'll be over in Prince George's County, Victor, and you're always welcome here in the District of Columbia, because this will always be home for you. And tell Rushawn Baker I said don't be stealing any ideas from the District of Columbia. And he, too, is a really good guy. I enjoy working with Rushawn Baker, the county exec in Prince George's County. I feel like we're helping him a little bit too much. His chief administrative officer is now Nick Majette, who was our head of DCRA. And now Victor will be running economic development, transportation, and probably everything else in Prince George's County. And I guess he'll be able to relax now because he's got good folk from D.C. that are helping him out. The points that Victor made about our presence in tech are absolutely right. And that is, we didn't, when we came to these, to these opportunities in the city, one of the things I wanted to do, and he and I have talked about it a lot, is really be able to transform what's going on in the District of Columbia. And one need only look around. Look at where we are. Look at what Richard Lake and Armin have been able to do with their partners to be able to transform this site, O Street. I went to multiple groundbreakings here, as Richard knows, before we got into this position. And one of the things I was determined to do is that we were going to make sure that this project moved forward. And our team worked directly with Richard and Armin. And boy, look at O Street. Look at the market at O Street now. It's absolutely phenomenal, right? Richard, when Richard was introducing everybody earlier, I could only think about what O Street used to be. And we were at the ribbon cutting just a couple of weeks ago for the Cambria Suites and Hotel at 9th and O, I guess it was. And man, for those of you who've been around District of Columbia for a while, if you said somebody was opening a hotel at 9th and O, you better ask them what they were going to be doing in that hotel. Because it might be some illegal activity going on, and it might be more than one thing. It really is, I think, emblematic, symbolic of the transformation that's taking place here in this city. And when Victor came in one day and said he wanted to talk to me about the opportunity for us to increase our presence. And increasing our presence means that we did anything at that stage in the technology arena. It was something I wanted to learn more about, and we did. We went over to George Washington University's Lisner Auditorium to a meetup, and there were lots of people there. I saw Pete. Where's Pete? Oh, there he is. Pete was the guy running the show and did a fantastic job, and that I was hooked right away, especially when I saw how many people were hiring in there, because we were really trying to deal with unemployment at that stage. We had an 11.3% unemployment rate at that stage, and we were committed to trying to do something about that. And while there's no single reason for it, our unemployment rate now is no longer 11.3%. It is 7.5% in the District of Columbia. And we know in substantial part it is attributable to folks who come in to be a part of the technology community in the District of Columbia. We now have an increasingly young population in the District of Columbia. We now have 647,000 people who live in the city. We are growing at the rate of about 1,100 to 1,200 people net a month, which means there's probably 1,500 or more new people who come into the city, because the 1,100 to 1,200 means that that nets out the people who actually are leaving the city. And a lot of those folks are young people. Believe it or not, our population now is 1/3 of our population is now under 35 years of age in the District of Columbia. And that is a phenomenal transformation taking place in this city. It preserves the future of the District of Columbia, ladies and gentlemen, and it means that we are bringing, Marie, we are bringing people into this city who are actually earning substantial sums of money. And I don't mean to be mercenary, but they're paying taxes in the District of Columbia, y'all. And by the way, we're doing okay financially also. When we came into office, we were in a very precarious position with our fund balance. It had been spent down to what would have been by the end of that that fiscal year to $700 million. And before that administration, it was at $1.5 billion. And we were determined to increase that. And so we have managed to do that. We've balanced our budgets every year, and we have managed to be able to generate enough revenue to have a fund balance that is not at $700 million. We are $1,750 million in terms of our fund balance. That is a $1 billion increase. And we've been able to do the things that we wanted to do. You know, in the course of trying to figure out how we expanded this economy, because for decades, you know, I guess centuries, decades at least, our city has been dependent upon the federal presence. If the federal, you know, economy was up, we were up. If the federal economy was down, we were down. And we knew we had to move away from that. We had to do something different in order to be able to create an economy in this city that was unique unto itself. And that's what gave rise to this document, which our deputy mayor and others brought together a lot of people. We brought together universities and others. I remember looking at the first iteration of it. I said, Victor, I don't think so, man. Let's start over again. We got to do something innovative, man. We got to do something that's different. We need a different deck of cards here. And folks went back to the drawing board and came back with what I think is a document that will live on for many years in the District of Columbia. It is our 5-year economic development plan. It has 2 bold goals. One is to be able to create 100,000 new jobs in the District of Columbia, and to be able to generate $1 billion additionally in tax revenue in the city. And the technology sector is contributing mightily to us being able to realize that. We were at the end of the first year in November, right? Our first year, finished our first year in November. And at the end of the first year, we had totaled, I think, something like 17,800 new jobs. And if you do the math, do the trajectory, that would put you at somewhere around 90,000, but it is an increasing trajectory. So the city will get to 100,000 new jobs on the path that we're on by the end of these 5 years. And we had generated $281 million of new tax revenue. You do the math on that, and that far exceeds $1 billion in 5 years. That's about $1.4 billion of new tax revenue being generated in our city. And so much of that is now the enthusiasm, the energy is being fueled by the commitment to having a robust technology sector in the District of Columbia. And that's right, Ray. We weren't doing much, man. We weren't even in the game. You know, you talk about technology, and somebody would want to know ask you what you're talking about. You know, but we are at a different place today, and I want to thank you for your contribution to that as well. There's so many people who have contributed to where we are today. You know, some of the folks in our office, and Victor's already mentioned them, and I want to acknowledge Keith Sellers, who is the CEO of the Washington, D.C. Economic Partnership, and Tiffany Thacker. Where's Tiffany? Somewhere here. There she is over there. They have done a phenomenal job of working in partnership with us. In fact, the work we do in Las Vegas, and yes, when we go to Las Vegas, people actually do work, ladies and gentlemen. I asked somebody one day why they have this conference in Las Vegas, because you might as well be in, downtown Pocatello, Idaho, because you work the whole time that you're there. But they have worked so hard to make that a great experience, and it's wonderful to be able to go there and see the people now who look at the city as a place to be. We've joined forces with 1776, which 18 months ago did not exist in the District of Columbia. We were the first investors. We invested $200,000, I think it was, in 1776. That has resulted in them now having over in the 1100 block of 15th Street Northwest, they have over there now over 200 startups that are working to be able to create and increase the technology presence of in the District of Columbia. And David Zipper, who they stole from us, he's now working there. He was working for us and helped us get this going. And Jen, you made a major contribution to that as well. So thank you so much for what you've done to be able to bring us to where we are today. In addition to that, we've got a commitment to technology in a variety of other places in the city. Whoever would have thought that Microsoft was coming to Ward 8 of the District of Columbia? You know, if I said that that's what we were working on before we got to that point, somebody would have said, you better help that brother change his brand to smoke, because there is definitely something wrong with him. But Microsoft is bringing an innovation center to Ward 8, the grounds of St. Elizabeth's, and they will be opening up. They've made that commitment, and they will be opening up an innovation center on the grounds of St. Elizabeth's. And of course, our latest endeavor, and Erin, I want to thank you for the work that you are doing to be able to spearhead that, is Digital DC. We have a tech fund that we've established. I think we're accepting applications until the 20th of June. So those of you who haven't put your application together, you better rush right out of here and make sure you submit it by the 20th of June. There's $1 million in that fund. And the grants, I think, grant applications can be anywhere from $25,000 up to $200,000. So I suggest that those of you who are involved in technology and want to expand what you're doing and have some great ideas, this is an opportunity to do that. And we've also created a tech corridor, a DC digital corridor along 7th Street. Starts right by the Convention Center and goes north, up 7th Street, onto Georgia Avenue, goes past Howard University, and goes all the way up Georgia Avenue to Petworth. And the reason for that is to try to create a critical mass, create a synergy for technology firms in the District of Columbia. There will be, the people in Silicon Valley in a few years will be saying, we want to become the DC of the West. You know, I know you laugh. You think it won't happen, right? There's a lot of stuff that people thought wouldn't happen in the city is happening at this stage. But in any event, that is our goal. And I think we're going to be able to do that. If you look at the 5-year economic development plan, how many people have actually read the plan? Raise your hand if you haven't read the plan. Raise your hand if you didn't want to say you hadn't read the plan. It is very readable, and what I would suggest you do is go to the visions, and one of those is to become the largest technology center on the East Coast. And we have, I think, 52 initiatives there, and maybe half of them are close to being finished already, even though it's a 5-year plan. But it articulates where we're trying to go with technology here in the city. So again, I want to thank you all for coming out. In a very literal sense, what a vision this is to be able to look out over the city at this stage. It is absolutely incredible what's happening in the District of Columbia. I'm proud to be a native Washingtonian and proud to be a part of the transformation that's taking place. I see Pierre Bagley over there, who runs our Office of Motion Picture and Television Development, and I guess, I don't know if I left out stuff, but we got Pigmental that's working with us now. They are animators, and they're going to be doing some wonderful things here in the District of Columbia as well, all in the spirit of demonstrating the multiple uses of technology in the city. People oftentimes ask me, what is technology in the city? Well, I think it's trying to figure out how we create a more efficient way to be able to live our lives in the city. And some of the innovations that are taking place, absolutely phenomenal. Look at what people are doing with taxi cabs in the city. By the way, have you all seen our new taxi cabs in the District of Columbia? Well, they look different. I don't know how new they are, but they look different, okay? We've transformed now about half the taxi cabs in the District of Columbia. They have a new look, and all of them soon will all be a uniform color, red and black. And they are using technology. They are finally using credit cards, and they're using other technology. Yeah, that's really, we brought our taxi cab industry right on into the 19th century, you all. And it's going to get better very quickly. They'll be in the 22nd century before you know it. The last thing I want to mention is that we have established, and I guess the order went out today, right, Darryl? We've established an Innovation and Technology Inclusion Council. And the order has been developed. We have issued the order as of today. This spells out what it will do. It talks about the people who will be a part of that effort, the people who will be the membership on the Technology Council. There will be at least 15 people and no more than 25. And some of you may want to get involved because it will be a group that can advise us on how we continue to go forward. You'll work directly with a lot of people. You'll certainly work directly with Erin also. As we try to continue to roll out Digital DC, we try to develop the St. Elizabeth's campus, we try to bring more startups to the District of Columbia, and we make the District of Columbia a place that is no longer defined in large part by the presence of the federal government, that we are defined as a technology center in the United States of America. Thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen.
First, I want to thank the mayor, who has really, for me as a resident of D.C., has made me feel proud. As I go around the country and really go around the world, I live in a place now where I can say to people, gets it, and understands that the future is tied to our education and technology and innovation. And I want to thank Victor, who I've known for many, many, many years. I've actually tried to hire Victor. He has been smart enough to turn me down not once but twice. I'm going to try again after he's done with the county. So that's part of our relationship. And also Jen, who's been just a spectacular city resource and leader, and of course Erin, who has energy that you just can't match. But I want to set the record straight with Victor, who said that I came in yelling at him and everything. All of that is true. I did yell. The only part of his story which was not true was I actually paid for lunch, or we split lunch. So that's the part that I wanted to say. I'm not that cheap, and I'm not that inexpensive of a date either. In terms of an expense, I eat light breakfasts. So I just wanted to get that across. I wanted to say a couple of words about the fund that many of you have heard about, and that I have the privilege and the honor of chairing this advisory group. There are a number of advisory board members here, and I want to thank them for agreeing to serve. And I believe this is the beginning of something very, very special for the city. When we were brainstorming about what was needed, we talked about a few very critical things, and Victor asked me, which was unusual for someone in government, how do things work in other places, and what have you seen that works that could help the district? And I said there are a couple of basic ingredients, and some of them still need work, but one is, of course, the financial capital side of it. And what's great is there's an increasing number of venture capitalists coming into the city that are understanding this is an opportunity to invest. But on the front end, there are still a lot of people that, for different reasons of birth and opportunity and access, they don't have that first round of funding, which is often called friends and family. If I were back in the day and I was trying to start something to friends and family, I would get a few dollars, but it wouldn't be enough to launch a venture. So there are a lot of people, particularly women and black and brown, who don't have that opportunity for the friends and family. And then there are others, young people who have great ideas. And so we said, let's have a fund that will help catalyze and that will attract other money. So our goal was very intentional to bring other dollars to the table. And in fact, when we were putting the advisory board together, people were saying, well, would that be a conflict? We said, no, we actually want people who are investors and people who understand business to look at these folks, because the goal is that we'll continue to do this. And then over time, we ought to work ourselves out of business, because the private sector will have come in and they'll fill the need on the angel side and the early money side for some of these companies. The other things that we still have to spend time, and I know really incredible people like Marie Johns and others are working on this, but we have a human capital issue that we've got to deal with in the city. We still have too many residents that will be left behind this movement around technology in the future. So any city that's doing well, and let's not kid ourselves, we're in competition with a lot of places. And we've got to have a workforce for people that we attract and a workforce for people who are here. And then the other issue, of course, is infrastructure. So if you combine infrastructure, financial capital, and human capital, you really have a shot to win in the 21st century. And we're no longer just competing. We're not competing with Prince George's County. We're competing with Bangalore and places all over the world that are trying to win, because there's simply a job shortage, and it's going to be who wins the battle of ideas and who wins the battle of capital. And I think the nation's capital can win that battle, but something we should never, ever forget, that it really started, this movement started with Mayor Gray and started with his deputy mayor, Victor. And that's something that we should never forget when we look back on this, that moment of movement forward. And that's what I'm saying. I'm very proud of what you guys have all put in place. And it's great to be a resident of the District of Columbia. And I thank all of you. And please apply for the funds. Don't seek me out personally, because I am hiding. You'll see none of my information anywhere. And I want to point out, Betsy Mullins, you can raise your hand. Betsy is the person who you should seek out, and everything else like that, very quietly tucked over there. And I'm very proud to be working with Betsy. So thank you all.
I just want to say quickly that 3 years ago when I started this adventure, I had no idea I would be working with the tech sector, and that it's been a pleasure almost every day to work with change agents on a regular basis and to see people who truly want to change the world and the city that we live in. I have spent enough...
Sorry. Blocking your face. Sorry,
I've spent enough time now with the folks that make up DC Tech that I do have my notes on my phone, so I just want to point that out there. And it's been great to see companies grow from 2 to 25 people in just the course of 2 years, and to know that I had initial conversations with them, and even if I didn't have anything to do with it, it's been great to just see them grow. And I truly believe that technology is a critical piece to the district's economic future, and not just traditional tech, but thinking about broader creative and digital companies as well. And so it's great to see that we have our motion picture television agency represented here tonight, because I think that there's going to be a lot more collaboration there that we have an opportunity to work on. And one final note, Digital DC, we've done a lot of celebrating tonight about getting this thing off the ground, because it's just been so much work, but I want to make sure that we all leave the room recognizing that Digital DC is not about district government. Digital DC is about entrepreneurs. It's about all of you going out and doing those things to change the world that I mentioned early on. And though I might be moving on, I want to note that Erin is going to be here, and she is a fierce advocate for everything that you are doing on a daily basis, and that she is the most creative person that I've perhaps ever worked with, and I can't wait to see what crazy ideas she comes up with next and then makes happen. So, thank you.
And before Jen sits down, I just want to give her another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, because Jen is leaving. And Jen was the original advocate, and she set the bar high, and I just came in, and it's funny because those who know us, we have, as Jen points out all the time, very completely opposite personalities, but we work so well together when it comes to, and we make magic happen. I also want to just highlight another individual very quickly, Nicole Sims, who has joined us as our Capital City Fellow. She can just wave from the back. She's going to be working with me moving forward with the creative economy, which is a big part of what you'll see moving forward with some of the big things that the mayor and the deputy mayor have mentioned. And just quickly, because it wasn't really announced for those who are not aware, there's a third-party organization that is handling the tech fund. It's DC Innovates. And if we could, there's a few of the board members who are here, can we just have them raise their hand for the board members of DC Innovates? Wonderful. And I wanted the advisory board for the actual fund are the investment advisory board members. Can you guys raise your hands for just a moment for the investment advisory board? I think Phyllis and some others were here, Marie. And I just want to point out, because these individuals have volunteered their time to really make a difference in this city, and we can't thank them enough. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you again to the Deputy Mayor for his leadership. I'm going to sorely miss having you as a fearless leader in our office, and Jen as well for letting me go with my crazy ideas. You know what else, Jen, we should do? And letting me do it. And of course, the Mayor, last but not least, who has really given us, just paved this amazing, innovative path. So thank you so much, and let's celebrate.